on bed very soon. Alright? Now I'm making my way down the platform, and this PSO clocks me coming down the platform. Now, for anyone who's not aware, a PSO, they're called Protective Service Officers, and basically they are guys who failed the police exam. And then they said, hey, do you want to be a ticket inspector? You can cosplay as a cop and we'll give you a gun. I see you've had problems with them before. Alright, no. But, so, no problems for abuse there, no problems for power or anything. And PSO clocks me, come down the platform, says, you're drunk. To which I answer, no shit. Alright? So you can see I started it. I'm aware. Now he goes, you're drunk. You shouldn't have been on the train. Yeah, why were you on the train? You should have taken a taxi home. At which point, we enter in a philosophical debate about the nature of public transport, what its service is, and the fact that if I'm not supposed to be on the train while drunk, why does his job exist? He does not like that answer. I don't think he was expecting so much philosophical pushback at 12 o'clock on a Tuesday. Which is fair. And as I said to you all, I don't really expect you to actually know the answers because some of them are slightly obscure news things and some of them are more well-known stuff. But to reasonably expect you to actually know the stuff, I think, is unfair, given I haven't given you any material to prep with. So
I actually know all of it. So
well, then you should.
Sorry, guys.
If you do not win, I'll be super disappointed in you.
Yeah, you should be, because I know all the news. I read it when you said I was going to be on this quiz. I read all the news, and so I'm.
I think you're the most prepared guest we've ever had.
I say I'm a professional.
Well, that's true. It's undoubtable your level of commitment to this. All right, so let's get into it. For the audience, welcome to the Weird News Quiz. I remain, and presumably will be forever, your host and undecided Knife's Edge election results, Matt Harvey. Before we meet our guests, for any new audience members, we've just lost John Gracie. And, I'm sure he'll be back by the time I finish introductions. Joining me on these fierce competitions of japes and confusion are a couple of... Oh, and John's gone again. Many first-time guests. So first up is comedian and swing state, somehow still surviving at a near 50-50 result despite 4 years of chaos, Beck Hill.
Thank you. Don't believe it. I stopped the count or whatever. Whatever's relevant by the time you watch this.
Both stop and continue. Depends on which state you're in. That's how that's going. We've got podcast host and unsurprising decision to decriminalize most of the drugs after the year that we've had, Chris.
Hey.
And game show host and relentless unwillingness to concede a very obviously lost race, John Gracie.
I'm back. Hey guys.
Finished crossing the room, and he's back. All right, but let's get into it. I did find there wasn't a lot of news that I had prepared from over on your end, but I did find this one piece which I found quite interesting. So obviously, the UK is going back into lockdown. I'm sure you've all got your own feelings on the matter. And let's dive into that. Let's dive deep into obviously the UK is preparing to go back into lockdown. There's been a lot of talk about the effectiveness of the decision. Will it be over by Christmas? Which I think is the most ambitious piece of political rhetoric ever put out. I'm like, we'll be done by Christmas, right? By Christmas.
It's harkening back to this wartime thing. The war's going to be done by Christmas. It's a thing that British people think and believe. But if you mention Christmas, then
never once successfully finished anything by Christmas. Like we always say.
Not even Christmas presents. I've never.
What I'm really hoping is that on Christmas Day, COVID and humans just take a day out to have a game of football.
Yeah.
Just like really see eye to eye. Like we're all creatures, we're all fine. And then Boxing Day, bam, straight back into
Yeah, and then it's back on harder than ever.
There's a few viruses at the back, just like, this isn't over. Okay, we're coming for you.
yeah.
But
and then the following year, Tesco will do like a really cute ad about the 2 different supermarkets having a game of.
We've got this Maya ad running at the moment, and it's the most absurd ad I've ever seen, because the idea is we've missed a lot, so let's.
Oh, just to translate, Maya is kind of like the John Lewis in Australia.
Right. Yeah. So they're like, we've missed a lot this year, so let's cram it all into one day and make it bigger than Christmas. And I'm like, no, that's a ridiculous idea, Maya. Why would you want to gather that many people in the middle of the to do that?
We've done a great job not infecting each other. Yeah. Let's really push everyone together.
Yeah, just jam them all in and get it going. Kick this thing off one more time.
Ali McGregor has designed a card to raise money for charity, and it says, if you hold a funeral for a turkey on Christmas Day, you're allowed to have 30 people over.
That's crazy.
Yeah, Ali McGregor, find her, follow her, buy her card.
Love it. That's so good.
I think it's been disappointing how little my life's changed. You know, they're like, oh, you can't meet in groups of more than 6. And I was like, okay. My 2 friends will be fine.
We just form a house together. Fine, just all move in together. Yeah. So there's a new paper by a research group called SAGE, who are the Scientific Advisory Group for Emergencies, which suggests that young people told to isolate due to coronavirus should be offered what?
Right.
Free Netflix.
No,
That's a very nice reference, actually.
What was that, Chris? Sorry?
I said Game Boys, and then I thought that's a very nice reference. So it's a bit late.
You know what?
I would love a Game Boy. That'd be great.
It's not amazing, Chris. Oh, sorry. That is a game from the 90s in Australia where the best thing you could win was a Game Boy. And you'd sit there watching the TV going, the keys are behind the gorillas!
I want no more context for this game. That's all I need to know, that there are gorillas and keys. That's great.
Yeah, that's basically the whole game.
It was the Game Boy that has the transparent cover, and it was... And then for a while, they made it that you could win a sewing machine.
Obviously, when the sponsorship changed. At one point, you played Super Mario as well. You challenged each other.
Yeah, you did, didn't you? Like Mario Kart or something.
Yeah, Mario Kart. Yeah. They do a Mario Kart. It was a strange little game. But you guys.
So Matt, my internet cut out when you did all of the rules for this. Are we trying to say what we think the answer is, or are we doing humorous versions of the answers?
I will award points for correctness and for for amusing me as much as possible.
You're like a kind of disgruntled monarch. You're just like, bring me amusement. I'll shower you with points.
The world's been so small.
This isn't even going to go out. This is just.
It's actually
just
so I can
4
talk.
a.m. Australia time. Let's do some socializing.
I do my best
and make my friends compete.
But you guys are actually surprisingly close with your guesses. So this is the quote from the paper. It says that young people should be offered good financial and other support, such as free mobile phone data, streaming, and gaming.
Oh, Chris, we basically got that. John was not close at all, but Chris and I, we got it.
I wasn't close because I didn't say any answers.
Yeah, it does make it hard to be close.
I panicked and didn't know what I was supposed to say. But between Netflix and Game Boys, that's pretty much it.
So they've warned, the paper warns that compliance with COVID-19 restrictions is substantially lower and declining among people aged 18 to 29 compared to any other age group. And though they have strong motivation to adhere, according to the paper, what is causing this lack of compliance?
I reckon the paper's going to be like, cockiness.
Yeah.
A youthful
Literally
belief
say
in their
that.
immortality.
I'd love it if you filled in the blank with just cockiness. Like they just said cockiness.
Yeah, a single word, just cockiness.
Lots of young adults saying, and I quote, "I will never die."
This is a peer-reviewed piece.
I
Want to take a stab?
think it's from too much making out.
Ooh.
I think they're of the age range that are constantly making out
Well,
all
18,
over the
29.
place.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can't help themselves. They'll isolate, but their lips will wander.
That's horrifying.
Consensually.
That's a new virus.
You
Your
remember
mouth
the
just
Tui's
removing
ad?
it.
You remember the Tui's ad to Benny Benassi with the tongue that escapes and then it like goes to a party?
Yeah.
That's children these days. That's millennials.
That was a strange and like weirdly graphic ad for a beer.
Yeah.
It's another horrifying glimpse with just like a tiny bit of information about an advert.
Yeah.
It's like, I don't need to know anything else. There's just a tongue that goes on a journey. Sounds horrifying.
Just seeks out a
Oh,
beer.
I was
Google
supposed
it.
to tell you something rather
After
than
this,
put you
Google
off
it.
something.
Yeah. You were supposed to be like, I want to be like that tongue and just drag across the floor until I get to this beer. And
Or unless I drink Tui's, my tongue is going to run away from me because it'll be so pissed.
Well, to explain it for the Brits, basically this man is so much of an alcoholic that when he goes to sleep, his tongue still seeks the comforting warmth of an ale or IPA or beer.
Sleep isn't enough of an oblivion.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
So his tongue detaches and goes on search.
I love that.
Alcohol.
Sounds like a fucking nightmare.
Love that you've taken on the role of like ambassador to Australian culture. You're just like,
my aim is to like gain their trust, and then by the end of this, I'll be like, "Yeah, sheep walk on stilts in Australia because of all the floods," and they'll be like, "Oh."
And I will say yes to everything along the way, so they will not know where the line stops. I was like, yeah, I remember that ad.
I remember those stilty sheep.
This ad you're describing has the energy of like a 90s like tango ad. You know, when their ads were just off the chain and it would just be like the orange guy that just ran up and slapped people. Just this really like violent.
That one got banned, didn't it? Because loads of kids started just running to people at school, just slapping them. You've been tangoed.
It was so weird. I remember it being genuinely scary as a kid. It has that same like nightmare energy.
Push pops for the same reason. Just everyone going around
pushing each
other. Don't push me. Push it. They should have had that with tango. Don't slap me, slap a tango. That should have been the motto. Aussies, tango
At
is
least
like
push
British
pops were trying to
culture.
prevent pushing.
I appreciate the matrix that you've taken on.
Do you not have tango in Australia?
No.
All right.
I feel like you're pushing for like a cultural ambassador position, Beck. Like you're going to try and get some government funding.
Take it. Yeah.
Translate between them two.
Not to go off on too much about
sour lemonade.
No, so they said that the 18 to 29-year-olds, the reason that they wouldn't, that they're more likely to not follow the rules is because they're undermined by a severe lack of trust in government and a lack of clear information. So, yeah. Like,
that's absolutely fair.
Why they would have a lack of trust in your government.
So is it just 18 to 29-year-olds? Is that everybody?
Yeah. I was going to say, I think you could just apply that.
But it's pretty fascinating. I mean, the paper doesn't go on to explain how they would give out the free gaming. It's just sort of like, this is a good idea. If you want to try it. I think it was written by an 18-year-old who was just like, we should get free gaming. Hey, we should.
Yeah, I just think they really want some
free data.
Just some Pornhub accounts. Maybe just some free Pornhub accounts. That's what apparently they want. I don't know. Obviously, so I'm just a researcher.
Here's the thing. So, in Australia, there was a cruise ship called the Ruby Princess, which docked in Sydney, very early in the pandemic, and this was like
this is the one where all the infections came from, right?
Yeah, a lot of them. Yeah, this is where our first major point of exposure was. Except for like flights coming in. And so they had all these people quarantining on the Ruby Princess. And in order to help them get through their quarantine, there was a bunch of cam girls who offered up their services for free to the people in the Ruby Princess. And it was one of these really weird moments of like major news sources like, 7 News and 9 News being like, cam girls are offering their service with no judgment or anything. Normally, Channel 7 would be like, cam girls are ruining the neighborhood. But here they are, like being like, oh, they've come to save them with a jerk.
I don't know. I feel like the judgment there is on all the cam boys not joining in.
Well, that's right.
Come on, cam boys. Show up.
There's people into dudes on that shit as well.
Absolutely.
Come on.
And that's probably how
your cam sisters have turned up. Where are the cam brothers?
So what you're saying is that the government should start an OnlyFans account, and that'll solve everything.
100%. Yeah, just an open access, publicly funded OnlyFans, and so like the OnlyFans equivalent of an NHS, and just see how it goes. It'll start off really strong.
What is an honest politician if not a naked one?
That's right. The most honest I'll ever be. All right, I got some robot news. The next couple of stories are about robots in various capacities. So Pope Francis.
This is like, sorry, can I just say that if we went back in time and said to me, just so you know, you're going to be doing a quiz show in 2020 during a pandemic lockdown. It'll be international on a video phone. It's like a little computer, and we're going to be discussing robot news.
Yeah, that's right.
My brain would.
Welcome to 2020.
And also porn saving the day on a cruise ship full of people with the virus.
Well, even to add to the surrealness of it, this is a robot story about Pope Francis. So take from that what you will.
Robot.
The old robot Pope. Nice. So Pope Francis, he recently invited Catholics around the world to pray for what regarding robots?
Cam girls.
They don't. I'm going to say that they don't enslave us all to really cap off 2020.
Is it for their terrible, sinful robot souls?
Well, we haven't got to the point of building a working bender yet, so we're not quite. But you're not actually. You're pretty close, Chris. You basically nailed it. He wants Catholics around the world to pray that robotics and AI will serve humankind, as opposed to like oppressing it, I guess. This isn't the first time that the Pope has weighed in on any kind of science fiction. In February this year, a group called the Pontifical Academy for Life. Yep, there's a very real group.
The PAFL.
Sorry?
The PAFL.
Yeah, that's right. The old PAFL. So they dropped some. To be honest, they had this gathering where they talked about a thing called Algor ethics. Want to take a stab at what Algor?
As in Al Gore. As in it's all like
the ethics of Al Gore.
Environmentally friendly.
Yeah, it's like, does he run on solar power? How does he get around? Has he been outdone by Greta Thunberg?
How are we fueling Al Gore?
Yeah, that's right. What keeps him going?
Fueling him sustainably. Yeah, it's got to be, as Beck said, I think the sustainable environmental management of the planet.
You're not far off. You're pretty close. It's like sustainable management of algorithms, like making sure that algorithms don't get to a point.
Algorithms?
Yeah. Because
you got us, Matt. Well done. You said Al Gore. You didn't say algorithms.
This is how they spelled it.
Clever bastard.
An accent thing.
Is it basically like
algorithms?
Asimov.
All right, 5 points to Matt.
Is it basically like the laws of Asimov?
Look, it's not far off. They're sort of talking about they want the ethical use of artificial intelligence according to the principles of transparency, inclusion, responsibility, impartiality, reliability, security, and privacy, which is holding robots to a higher standard of ethics than the church. But I mean, we've got to start somewhere. Someone act responsible. And so what they did was they had this meeting, and they got a couple of the heads of a few major tech companies to come in and to sign this as well. They managed to get 2 companies. Do you want to take a stab at which 2?
Because they signing this with the fingers crossed behind the back here. Like, Mark
Zuckerberg
definitely not going to use this for anything dodgy.
They think they're robot, bodies with their disembodied faces, being like, yep, this is totally.
Is one of them Meccano?
It's Meccano and Duplo, I think, are the big dogs.
Yeah. You gotta start somewhere, hey.
Lego Technique. We build up to Lego Technique. You can't.
Hey, if they started to animate kids' wild Lego creations, we would all be in trouble. So let's hope they can't ever do that.
That's true. Some of them are pretty crazy. No, they had IBM and they had Microsoft. So not even the worst tech companies. Like, if they're going to get people on board, they couldn't even get, Twitter and Facebook to be like, yeah, we'll be responsible. They'll just... I don't even know the last time IBM did something noteworthy, to be honest.
Yeah, I wouldn't be that excited to have IBM at my conference.
I mean, I know.
Sorry, IBM.
On TV, I was like, but what are you selling? Because I haven't seen an IBM in the shop for...
Yeah.
I like to think that IBM, like, in anytime they release a product, they're like, we've made the mouse really small and in the middle of the keyboard. Like, that's on every product that they do. They don't have touchscreen phones or anything. Like, the IBM phone just has a mouse. It's a little nib.
Sort of roll.
Of the key.
Is that the IBM invention? Yeah. That little nipple they put in the keyboard? Is that IBM?
Yeah, I think it was from the IBM ThinkPad, I believe that was.
Oh, those things suck.
My parents met at IBM. They worked at IBM. So that was the last time I heard about IBM, was before I was born.
Fair. Is it true, Beck, as someone whose family works there, that it's called IBM because it's 3 letters down from HAL?
Well, that's why HAL is called HAL, because it's 3 letters away from IBM.
Wait, is IBM older than 2001?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I thought IBM was really new. I thought it was like an 80s company.
Well, it's definitely at least 5 years old.
You heard it here first, people.
We've got a unquestionable timeline. She read all the news, so she knows. It's okay. All right,
and I'll have you know that IBM actually stands for I bounce money.
I bounce money. Yeah, baby, it's IBM. It's bounce money. Hey guys, do you know what year IBM was founded? Go on. I don't want to take a guess.
Oh,
73.
Turned the format on us.
It'd be 60s.
Sorry.
It's like
I've got some points to give out. Who wants?
Oh yeah.
Is it 69? Is it 69?
I think it's like one of them companies that's like older than you think. You know, like Nintendo was like in the 1900s or 1800s or something like that.
Because they were a playing card company, weren't they?
Yeah, I reckon IBM.
Is that true?
Yeah, they used to do trading cards.
I reckon IBM's one of them, like 1920. Don't know what they made.
So we've got 1920, we've got 1969, and then Matt, what's your guess?
Yeah, I guess I'm in on this.
Actually, they would have been like moon stuff, hey? Because that was like when computing...
because that was sort of the inspiration.
So, yeah. When did that all kicked off? Like late 50s, I think. I'm going to say like...
Some wartime thing.
I'm going to go like 55.
55? And what's your guess, Matt?
Like in the 40s. I'll go 43.
The winner is, by a country mile, Chris, as IBM was founded on 16th of June, 1911.
Jeez.
Wow.
1911. The hell were they doing back then?
What were they making?
Just doing zoetropes.
It was, I was going to say it stands for I beat Nazis, but like Nazis wasn't even that. That was like way later.
Well, a little known
I bait Nazis
is that the Nazis were like the precursor for the Nazis. They had to work their way up.
That's why they had to change their
And then
name to
afterwards, it's
Nazis.
the OIs.
Because they didn't want to be beaten.
And then it's the
They used to be
Partsies.
called Nazis. Oh dear.
All right,
So good.
let's shuffle over to Japan. So there's a place called Takakawa in Hokkaido. Now, apparently, there's a bit of a bear issue there. And what have the municipal government installed to scare off the bears?
Partsies.
They're really scary. They're the latest version of the Nazi party.
Yeah.
It's graphic Winnie the Pooh manga with Winnie the Pooh being brutally destroyed by angry Japanese park rangers.
That's the least scary thing you can get in manga.
Just bears, yeah.
Yeah, not if
I've
you're a
seen
bear.
hentai.
Not if you're a bear. It's terrifying. Bears are cool with hentai, but as soon as there's any bears being killed, they absolutely hate
they're
it.
quite progressive on the sexual awakening front. They're like, you know what?
Sexually liberated.
Whatever it takes.
There's also like really harrowing ones of bears trying to open jars of honey and not being able to for just like hundreds of panels, and it makes them really existentially sad.
Yeah, it's like
they just don't want to eat after
like
that.
Waiting for Godot, but for hentai. they try to, but then they can't, and they stop for a scene.
Yeah, and they lose all motivation. That's what it is.
Is it a UK government OnlyFans account?
The least sexy thing in the world.
Doing anything. Yeah.
Yeah, well, the bears see it and they're like, oh, no, thank you.
Yeah.
We'll just go over back to our hentai and
I'll never have sex again.
Well, that's how they're taking care of the problem. They're just turning all bears into pandas. You know, and none of the bears want to.
Just lowering the sex drive to grim British politicians.
There's just some guy with loads of scratches on him and a Sharpie whose job it is to colour in around their eyes.
So do you want to take a stab, Chris, before I give you the answer?
Honestly, I think you guys have nailed it. It's definitely sexual. I mean, there's nowhere else to go.
So they've installed what they're calling robot monster wolves.
Oh yeah, it's robot news.
Yeah, robot.
Should have seen this coming.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got sidetracked a fair bit.
This is like when you've got a dangerous
That
predator,
does sound
right?
like the title of a
just...
manga or something like that.
Yeah, right?
Robot monster wolves.
So
this is when you've got a dangerous predator, so you're like, I'll just put something more dangerous in. That'll take care of it. We won't have to worry about robot monster wolves, though. They'll look after themselves.
But that's what the Pope's asking about, isn't it? So the Pope's praying robot monster wolves don't end up turning on the masters.
A lot of people don't know this, but robot monster wolves actually originally started as a trading card game. So it's been around way longer.
They were very, very raunchy robot trading cards, let me tell you.
Yeah, you can only get them on the like the secret underground railroads, and you'd have to really try hard for them. So officially, according to the write-up, they built them to avoid friction between residents and bears. So, like, the sex guesses aren't that far off by the sounds of it. Like, I don't know what the bears are getting up to.
Lubed up wolves.
Just a lot of rubbing.
How does it scare off the bear?
With the lube. Just sliding around. They put the lube into lupine.
So these are what? Electric robot wolves? Is that what they're called?
Robot monster wolf.
Is the monster really necessary? I feel like robot wolves would have been enough.
Nah. Robot monster.
Okay. They tried robot wolves and they weren't scary enough. Robot monster wolves, when the moon is full, they turn into the monsters and then they scare the bears. And the bears are famously afraid of werewolves.
Werebears.
So bear wolves.
That's what's going to happen. They're going to breed and create monster robot bear wolves.
Well, none of the bears see the hentai first.
You thought COVID was bad.
2021. Bear wolves.
Robot monster bear wolves.
Yeah, that's right. Heard it here first. An exclusive from my Nostradamus cast. So what
In Britain, bear wolves just means a lot of wolves, so you've got to be really specific.
Yeah, scary, but for different reasons.
Oh, you got bear wolves. That's a lot of wolves.
So they scan the area using infrared sensors. When they detect that either a wild animal or a human is close, the robot shakes its head and lets out a roar to threaten anything in its surrounding and flashes its eyes red. And that's how they're supposed to scare away the bears.
Imagine if you didn't know that there were like robot monster wolves in the area and you're just going for a walk in the Japanese forest and all of a sudden flashing eyes roaring. Robot beast appears.
Look,
this is the worst idea.
Yeah.
It's what my mum used to do when I was like, I think my room looks better this way. And she'd shake her head, roar, eyes would go red.
Our eyes would go red.
Yeah. But tell you what, no bears where I lived, so it worked.
Well,
The system works.
Essentially what they're saying. They've taken the same line of reasoning because they're like, there was an increase in bear sightings this year. Normally there's only about one a year, but this year it's gone up. And so they put these out there. There's like 60 of them out there. And they're like, the sightings in bears have gone down, so they must be working. You know, like the logic that Lisa uses with The Rock. You don't see any tigers, do you? It must be.
Whereas the town next door is absolutely overrun with bears.
It's actually being run by the bears.
I don't think it has anything to do with the fact that everyone's indoors this year, not going out.
So no one can see any bears.
I haven't seen any bears.
The bears are having
no bears in my living room, so the system works.
This Game Boy using free data.
Yeah, I'm busy playing free games from the Japanese government.
I think the fact that as well that it was like rolled out so fast sort of implies that they already had the robot monster wolves, or at least the plans for it. And they finally found like a problem that they could use it.
They were ready for.
There's a guy on the board that's like, we can finally get rid of these horrible monsters. Quick, scare the bears. It's been burning a hole in my pocket for 30 years.
Imagine if the COVID vaccine was released and it was just robot monster wolves.
Yeah, they
I don't know. We haven't seen it.
They just had monster wolves roaming the countryside. If anyone's out, they inject them with the vaccine, and they
just enforce social distancing.
Light their eyes.
Yeah.
To hunt down anti-vax.
This is what anti-vaxxers are so scared of.
Yeah, that's right. This is the future that they've been fearing. All right, last robot question. What's Walmart doing with 500 robots?
Not letting them unionize.
I mean, it's got to be replacing humans as is their want.
Scaring away bears. They're getting rid of them.
They tried to unionize.
They tried to unionize. They tried to get together. So basically,
oh no, you don't, says Mr. Walmart. You're out of here, robots.
They had 500 shelf scanning robots that they'd put in place, presumably to intimidate their fragile human workforce, because robots never get sick unless ceaselessly working. So you're like, you better appreciate your job. But then
they were taking too many smoke breaks.
That's
all
right.
these robots out the back. He's coming.
But I'm assuming, like, because they're touting this as a win, but that's what PR does. But I'm assuming because now there's abundance of desperate people willing to work a shit job for barely any pay and no breaks, that they're like, we don't need these robots anymore. Send them out.
It's cheaper to hire people.
Yeah, it's just cheaper to get sad people in. And
let's just throw these angry, bitter robots out on the street. I'm sure
Right.
nothing bad will happen.
well, imagine how bad you're going to feel.
They just wander towards the nearest pub.
Well, they all
Come
go
on, guys, let's find some bears.
They go join the unemployment line, and then the people in the unemployment line are like, these guys are going to get hired before me. This sucks. This is the worst year.
So when you say fired, do you mean like what? They
From
just
a
destroyed
cannon.
them?
Well, they didn't actually mention what they did with them. So probably they're just like, we're discontinuing our contract with this, like the company that provides them, and we're going back to people. They prefer
This
to.
is what the robot apocalypse is going to use when we're all on trial in 30 years' time. They'll be like, look, these shelf robots didn't have a shelf life, and they'll do a clever little pun because they'll have learned to pun by this stage. And then they'll be like, we should kill all humans because look at this, and they'll show a video of the shelf robots being like squashed in a trash compactor.
Absolutely.
And their little eyes like bursting out.
Yeah, no, I can see that happening 100%.
Terminating a contract kind of suggests that it was like they've provided the robots and then they would keep providing them as was necessary. What they've done is they've bought a bunch of robots.
Yeah.
And gone terminating that contract. Be like, you just bought something.
Well,
like I could say like terminating my contract with this grocery shopping.
Terminating
like
contract.
I've already got it.
It's the only way they know how to describe of getting rid of something is terminating their contract, because that's it. They've got to deal with people all the time, so they're like, oh, yeah, we terminated their contract.
I wish the reduced aisle at the supermarket said like contracts terminating soon. It's just like, geez, it's about to go off.
Yeah, it's terminating its contract with being fresh. Quick, grab it now.
Little unemployment line for like
terminate as well.
apples.
That's funny. Well, I wasn't going to do this with an Australian piece of news, but given the road we've gone down, it'll make sense to you in a moment. It's not about robots, but it does have something to do with Japan. So, like, I think Beck can confirm Australia can be a bit of a conservative place from time to time. Like, we've got this great international reputation for fun-loving, beer drinking, sex, and all that. But I think that's because we're on vacation. So the only Australians people meet are Australians who are on vacation. So they're like, yeah, there's a fun people. But back home, we've got our conservative pants on a bit. So Australian authorities are cracking down on the importation of what from Japan?
Robot bear hentai.
Monster wolf.
I mean, based on Australia's immigration policies, I would say Japanese people. But they put a spin on it. We're just cutting down.
We're terminating our contract with Japanese people.
Yeah. What's a big import that you get from Japan?
It's going to seem very obvious once I say it.
Is it like Kit Kats or something? Like, is it a food item?
Nah.
The green tea Kit Kats, they're amazing.
Yeah, I know. That's like exactly. I was like, what's specific to Japan? Matcha Kit Kat.
My partner's allergic to green tea.
Yeah.
And so she went to Japan. She didn't realize she was allergic until she had a green tea Kit Kat, and her face blew up.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. She sent me photos because I wasn't there. She sent me photos, and I was like, oh, that's a problem. You need to.
Don't ever reply to a photo of your partner with "that's a problem."
Well, she knew. She was reluctant to send them, probably for that reason.
Yeah.
No, it's hentai. It's hentai.
Oh.
Really?
Yes, we
well,
had.
That makes sense.
Yeah, we had
depressing.
One of the Center Alliance, who is this collection of. They used to be part of a centrist party, but they've sort of gone independent, but they're still centrist in their own ideals. So one of them brought this idea to the Senate, saying that we should crack down on the importation of hentai, and it got through. So there's this adult retailer from Japan called J-List, which specializes in sex toys, anime, cosplay, figurines, and manga. They posted a statement on their website claiming that Australia's border force and customs had started blocking all their adult products from entering the country, and that people need to be wary when they were buying them. Like, they were going to still send them, but they might not buy it. Because that's apparently border force have nothing better to do than try and steal people's hentai.
I want to see that episode of Border Security.
Yeah, right. That'd be amazing.
Where they're like, you got any like dried food items or like any medications or anything? Like, no, it's fine. And then like the little old grandma is like packing hentai, like just magazines and she's like, oh, I didn't understand the form. I didn't like. They're like showing her the form. They're like, you should.
It says right here, no hentai. I thought it was manga, not hentai. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Like, what's the definition?
Oh, I thought it was my neighbor Totoro. I can't explain.
My very good neighbor Totoro. So on the list of banned items, just lost John Gracie.
By it was banned because of conservatives. Did I mean it?
Yeah, they're sort of like centrists, so they're sort of, they toe this really weird line between what they're for and what they're against. Like, most recently, they voted to support a rise in costs for like arts degrees and stuff like that as a means of getting people to go into more STEM degrees.
Well, yeah, because if people can do art, then they're going to draw hentai. So, like, you gotta.
It's a slippery slope.
You gotta cut that shit off at the source.
That's like the idea that somehow there's some people who are there going like, oh, I'd really, like, the only thing stopping them from like being a doctor or a rocket scientist or something is the fact that the course is the same cost as an arts course.
Maybe they're taking the Hitler approach, where they're like, well, all these arts, like, he wanted to be an artist. If we stop people from wanting to be artists, they can't fail at being artists.
I thought you were going to say, if we can stop people from getting into art school the same way that Hitler did it, we can raise more far-right fascists.
Yeah, we need more Hitlers in the world, quick. But that's backwards, typical right-wing thinking. You need to make frustrated artists.
That's right.
Then they'll become Hitlers. You can't just stop them being artists in the first place. Think, guys. Think long-term, you idiots.
Well, good thing I'm recording this. I'll send it to them.
Just a bunch of fascists walking around to children, grabbing the crayons out of their hands, chucking them across the room. That's why they do that hand thing. It's them throwing all of the arts materials.
No crayons for you, Franz.
That's funny. So the list of items that they've got that they're going to try and ban from coming into the country. So there's anything marked with an 18+ symbol, pornographic hentai, Japanese porn videos, sexually suggestive figurines of anime characters, and a thing called an owner hole. You want to take a stab at what an owner hole is?
Oh, I really don't actually.
Don't you know?
Because I don't want to go that way.
No. I don't want to answer this question. There are no winners here. I just want to know what an owner hole is.
Because you don't want to be right.
It's actually pronounced honor hole.
It might.
And it's actually a really big award. You know, in America where they're like, oh, my kids are on the honor roll.
I'm on the honor hole.
It's like the honor hole.
Honor hole.
Look, it was a long walk, but it was worth it when we got there. The view was wonderful.
Okay. I reckon it's like a flashlight that
yeah,
lonely, horny people
now
fuck.
in one.
Yeah?
Yeah.
God, I'm so upset that I'm right.
You look so ashamed with that.
Yeah.
These are bitter points.
What is that? Explain. No, please don't.
Well, the most clinical answer is it's a artificial vagina designed for masturbation. That's sort of like the most clinical way of describing it. And so, like,
For some reason, my head was like, "Is it masturbation if you're doing it to?" But then I realized it's for the other person, not you're not masturbating the artificial vagina.
yeah, I'm not trying to get
Working at all.
not trying to get the
Nothing's
vagina.
happening.
Hey, in a few years' time, the way AI's going,
Well,
maybe it'll get horny when you do it.
Especially if we don't use it ethically. If the Pope fails in his mission, then we are back down this terrible road.
Loads of
Give
horny
it to the
robots.
werewolves.
That's right.
Loads of horny robots who got fired from their jobs, and they'll be really angry and sexually frustrated. That's
And
how
they
it happens.
art school either, so they've got no recourse.
They can't go to art school. Oh no!
Yeah, they have to go into this life of crime and
Loads of
Tell you what,
horny,
though, that'll
angry,
scare away the
frustrated artists.
bears.
It's true.
Just a bunch of robot wolf Hitlers.
Is that like the Hitler Youth, but for wolves?
Yeah. And thus, our two problems solve themselves, and the world is saved.
I used to work in a Club X, right? And so Club X, I don't know if they have an equivalent. It's basically we sell dildos and DVDs and all that sort of stuff. I worked there for a little bit, and Australia is a really complicated place for the law in terms of selling of hardcore porn material. So on my first day, it was explained to me it is technically illegal to sell, but they don't technically sell it. They rent it. So anyone can come in and rent it for an extended period. And if they so choose to end their rental, to terminate their contract with their rental, they can
Terminate the contract.
Yeah, it's very good.
And exchange it for a different rental at a lower, like a discounted rate. And then that rental goes on. So you have your never watched are your gold standard. And then you return it once and it's a silver standard. You return it more than once. It comes a bronze rental and goes into the upstairs dodgy bronze section. And that was the way they got around not being
Dodgy
able to
Bronze section is a great name for a band.
Yeah.
But like an orchestral one, you know,
Yeah.
like there's like way too many members. Like everyone's been in that band.
Like a hipster orchestra.
Like
Yeah.
a polyphonic spree kind of thing.
Yeah.
The dodgy bronze section. Oh, that's awful.
The boss said to me my first day, he said, it hasn't happened for a while, but we might get raided by the police. If it does happen, it's fine. Let them take everything. We'll have it restocked the next day. But just so you know, it's a possibility. That was my introduction to this world.
So it's like it won't happen overnight.
Yeah, along our timeline, it will happen.
It will happen. What brand
So
is
did it
that?
happen
Why
while you
is
were
that
working
in
there?
my head?
I've got I was going to skip most of the Australian questions, but I do have one that I think you guys will enjoy, just given where we've arrived at for this the general undertone of the theme of this podcast so far. So
Guys, I'm about to release a children's arts and crafts show. Like, I'm trying so hard to stop Hitler.
well, that's
All you're doing is
if anything, this is helping you, because you're showing how anti-Hitler you are, and that if
Ben,
anything,
I
parents
thought
will
your
get on
vibe
board
was
with
going to
that.
be. I thought your vibe was going to be, I can't be heard on this smutty show, but you were like, I'm trying to stop Hitlers. That's much better.
oh no, and I shouldn't. And this show will be my undoing before we even.
I like that the
TV show
podcast
on
that
the
we've
air.
done together, both times you've been like, will this be my undoing?
Matt, the last time I saw you no, actually, I don't think it was the last time, but we ended up meeting up in the Museum of Sex in New York.
That's right.
Because I didn't know New York very well, so we were like, where should we meet up that's like a really obvious place
Yeah.
that we haven't been to yet? Well, like across the board, everyone was like, sex museum.
Yeah.
Which was pretty funny. There was loads of stuff about duck willies. It was great.
Amazing.
I had a brilliant time.
Yeah. Between
about duck willies.
Yeah. They're corkscrew shaped.
All
Not
right.
only
I thought you
that-
meant like an American porn baron. It's me, Duck Willies.
really. Well, not only that, but like
It's not a cigar.
they have to
No.
grow them every mating season, and so there's this
What?
constant battle between the male and the female. So they're really long, and they sort of corkscrew, and that's to counteract the fact that the vagina of the female duck, the term I can't remember, because Drake is the male duck. I can't remember the female duck term.
Isn't it
Not
mallard?
mallard, is it? That's another boy duck, isn't it?
I was tempted to say mallard, so maybe it is.
I think it's mallard.
All right, we'll run with that until John looks it up and tells us
Lady duck.
the term mallard's been around since 1911, and you know. But
Vagina duck.
The mallard.
I don't know
is
how they
is
identify.
I just really enjoy this sentence. The mallard is a dabbling duck that breeds throughout the temperate and subtropical Americas, Euro-Siberian, North Africa. I like being a dabbling duck. I might be a little bit of a duck today.
I want a dabbling duck to be in DuckTales. Like I feel like one of them's got to appear at some point, right? No, so
its scientific name is Anus platrincos. Well, that's funny, isn't it? It's got anus in it. Its clutch size is female.
You guys.
Okay, I'm going to look up what is it.
Battle between male and female ducks so like the vagina of the duck will sort of corkscrew, so the penis will have to compensate for the corkscrew, and then over time it'll counter corkscrew in the other direction, so they'll have to develop a new penis that goes in the other direction, and it's like a constant battle because the one thing we learned from the sex museum was that ducks are awful.
Yeah.
Like
also, I think that'd get really confusing for ducks because, like, I always remember like righty tighty, lefty loosey, and like, if the threading changes, that's really confusing.
Yeah.
Oh God! So you're saying ducks grow a new penis each time they want to mate, each mating season?
Yeah.
Fuck me, that sounds exhausting.
Birds have cloacas, so they don't have.
That's true.
Yeah, they don't have like.
Isn't that
Was
sewer?
this a duck museum or a sex museum?
It
Like,
was every level of the sex museum was themed to a different. The one level was animal.
Well, what happened? It was an autocorrect problem, Chris. So originally it was called.
Yeah.
Yeah, from the beginning they're like,
let's just tell everyone it was the sex museum.
They just ran with it. They made the sign and they were like, duck? No, we'll just go with it.
That's funny.
Do we want to guess the name of a female duck, everyone? Just to round
Lucy.
off. Lucy, good guess. I can tell you that Beck will not be getting any points for
An
accuracy.
individual duck, or because I am correct, but
I'm sure there's one named Lucy.
For the scientific name for a female duck, I promise you know this one. I didn't realize that this was the one they used, but it is a term they use. What was that?
Lucius.
Lucius. Okay, both solid guesses. Chris, do you want to bring it home?
I don't know. I was just going to say gander because it's close enough.
no, that's the male geese.
Yeah.
Oh, is that male?
Ganders.
Oh,
Geese, yeah.
I know
No,
nothing about farm animals.
Hens like roosters, geese like ganders, everybody else like ganders. That's how I remember it. That's
Well, I'm going to give you the points,
hen,
Beck.
do they call it a hen?
The answer is hen. Yeah.
Oh, there you go.
Mm.
Hey,
The Simpsons teaches us more every single day.
this is true. All right.
So when they say hens like roosters, are they saying that like female ducks also like
They love 'em.
roosters? Like
Female ducks
everyone loves a rooster.
Roosters. It's
Yeah.
that hit.
There's when I did a kids show with a comic called Tom Goodliff, and his wife's French. She would come out with really, really cute, like her English is phenomenal, but she would every now and then occasionally forget an English word.
Yeah.
and she couldn't remember the word for rooster, and she was going, the husband of the chicken.
Oh, that's so cute.
That is adorable. It's almost perfect for a kids show too, because you couldn't have scripted it better for her to just be like the husband of the chicken.
If they're not married, though, it's not the same.
No.
That's right.
The duck and the hen are living in sin.
Pray for them. Pray for them. So in Perth, there was an ad seen on the back of a bus. So it's encouraging people to spend their job seeker, which is the at the moment it's the payment we're receiving. It's basically our unemployment payment, but it's got a boost because of coronavirus, and so because of this extra boost in our unemployment payment, on the back of this bus is an ad encouraging people to spend their job seeker extra income on what?
Ooh. And this is in Perth, did you say?
Yeah. Which I feel and unfairly gives you an idea of what it might be.
Yeah, I think that's relevant. What did you say, Chris?
Yeah, I might take
Wait,
Chris?
sorry, Chris. You said something before, Chris, and I missed it.
I just said I assume it's not hentai, do it?
Yeah,
That's banned.
it would be.
It did say that.
Government.
And then,
Hentai question.
Unless the advert was made by Border Patrol, who wants it.
Border Patrol have these ads that they put in other countries that says, "You will not make Australia home." They're these really like threatening ads about not being able to come here. So I feel like they're gonna have to make a ban, just being like, "You will not send hentai to Australia."
they should do like if I worked in border control, I would definitely every time I had to like buy people presents, I would definitely be like, oh yeah, no, this is banned right now. Oh, what, this PS5? Yeah, no, that's banned. Can't bring that in.
Totally banned.
And then
Unbanned,
just like check your notes.
Yeah.
A new washing machine. Yeah, no, that's banned. That's
Blue banned. They're banned. Yeah.
So what are the Perth government suggesting people spend their job
it's
seekers?
not Perth government. It's a local business. It's a local business on the back of the
local business.
promoting.
I don't know enough about Australian city stereotypes to know what Perth would want.
That's why I tried to avoid the Australia questions, but I think you'll enjoy this one.
All I know about Perth is there's loads of mining money, so they're hella rich.
Yeah.
And not a huge population.
Is it geodes?
Geodes. Don't dig up your own.
To buy those like
what are geodes?
That have the rocks that have the pretty crystals inside.
The Pokemon that's a rock.
They're like you get them from like museum gift shops and stuff.
Oh, okay.
No, it's actually.
Oh no, I've gone. I've disappeared.
I reckon it's burritos, Matt.
Burritos. It's a fair guess.
It's not funny, but I would spend my money on burritos if I had it.
You're actually attempting to win, which I respect.
What, John or me? With geodes? Is it cheap?
Yeah, totally.
I would be so happy.
It's actually a boob job. They're encouraging people to spend their unemployment payments on a boob job.
I would love it if heaps of dudes came out of lockdown.
Just
like,
starting a new
and
career.
they're like, what? I was isolated. I had no hentai. This was
it was on a bus.
So when asked about the advertisement, what did the company say in response to it?
Fuck it, it's 2020. Who gives a shit? Do what you want.
That's every press release this year. Like, do we have to explain it's 2020?
We're all tumbling into the abyss. If you're a guy and you want to get a boob job, go for your life.
I would actually love to see some official company copy that said we're all tumbling into the abyss. Oh well. No, they said the advertisement was facetious and memorable, and intended to put a smile on people's faces, and presumably a bump.
Well, the ad was. The ad was meant to put a smile on people's faces.
Yeah.
Apparently.
Right. I thought you meant the procedure. I was like, that is.
That's not how boob jobs work.
Hey, people should get
No.
boob jobs. It's memorable, facetious. It'll put a smile on other people's faces. I thought you were going to say that the company was suggesting that it would more likely get them work. Like,
Well, I
we're
mean,
helping them with employment.
yeah, I feel like there's a sort of nested image nested message in there of like increase your chances. There's some sort of increased pun in there going on, something like that. They said that the ad is not designed as a financial guide, and we do not advocate for anyone to take financial advice from material printed at the back of a bus.
I wish they'd
Can
written
I
it
just
4
say?
years ago.
Oh yeah.
Very good. Yeah, buses work, guys. Buses are very powerful, apparently.
Yeah.
They've really missed a trick by like not having it say like when your cuppeth runneth over. Right, then
Yeah,
your
or
cup
like,
should run over.
Yeah.
or get a load of this bust, or something like that. Bust. There's got to be.
Ah,
There's got to be
yeah.
something in there.
Yeah, right.
Come on, guys.
Or, just
Do
like,
better with your creepy boob ads.
boobs.
Very good, Beck. Question mark?
There's no information about the company, about what they do.
It's just, well, I mean,
And what I would like is if the O's were over the back window so that you could just see people's heads.
just
They're
in
like
there.
nipples.
You're like, hello. Mate?
Just little areolas.
That would actually be more creative than what they.
That would put a smile on my face. You
Yeah,
know what?
that totally would.
I wouldn't pay for boobs, but I would spend my extra income on that ad. Like I would.
And just on the
To make other people's
Side of
faces look
bus.
like boobs.
You don't want to know what I put on the front of the bus.
The penis enlargement.
But it still says boobs.
Yeah, because guys won't look otherwise. They'd be like, "Oh,
Why
boob
put it on
test."
a bus? You should put it on a motorboat. I mean, that's
Oh, of course.
Makes sense. Yeah.
Did we? Speaking of boats, this is tenuous, but did we all see Lizzo's response to the election, to the 2020 election results?
No, I think I missed that.
And she it's just her on a jet ski, laughing, going bye bitch, and jet skiing off into the distance. And it is so just like hashtag Biden Harris 2020. It's
That's
so
funny.
good.
That's funny.
Oh, it's perfect.
I love it.
All right. I think to end us off, that's a good segue into a couple of questions that I have here, because obviously the election was a bit tense for a lot of people. It went the way I assume we all wanted it to go. I won't interrogate you on that.
Imagine if one of us was like furious. Absolutely.
Really hoping for 4 more years of that guy.
This is a conspiracy.
Yeah, right. This is when it
God.
turns conspiracy corner.
Yeah.
But there was, so for our last question, I think this especially is particularly weirdly appropriate. I wrote these ages ago when the stories were coming out, but there was four ongoing campaigns to get people to vote. So one was run by Pornhub. They were trying to encourage people to vote. You want to take a guess at what they did for Americans to get them to vote? On the back of every bus.
And then just tiny little writing at the bottom. Vote, please.
They're gonna be like a joke about like boxes, filling boxes.
See, that would have been good.
I've got it. Was it, come on, everybody. Come on, vote.
No.
Come on, everybody! Full stop.
Brackets, vote.
And then a separate sentence, vote.
It's actually got two ticks next to it, like a checklist.
Oh, that's really good.
I've got to tell you,
Good. Come on, everybody. Sick. Sick.
the two campaigns that you guys have just workshopped here are actually stronger than the campaign that they put together. So the two things that they did on November 3rd, the website Pornhub was reserved only for users who had voted in the United States. So you had to. I mean, it was just a more elaborate. Yes, I am 18. Yes, I have voted, but you had to like confirm that you'd voted before you could use it. And they called the campaign "Give a fuck, get a fuck."
Ah, not like
Because
you know,
technically you
you're at
couldn't.
the. We see your polls, you see ours.
Nah,
Nothing.
nothing like that.
And anybody went onto Pornhub, got to that thing and was like, "Oh shit," and then left, and then came back.
They were like, "I've got time." Someone was probably accessing Pornhub.
Like running to the polling booth, but like doubled over because they're trying to.
Tripping over their pants.
I can't breach my trust with Pornhub.com. I must vote before I wank.
I'm a gold class trust member. So there was also a coalition of strippers who attempted to get people out to vote. And they had a better campaign name. Do you want to take a stab at their campaign name? So strippers trying to get people.
Was one of them Stormy Daniels? That would have been great.
Not that I know of. But that would have been pretty impressive.
So what was the name of the coalition of strippers getting people to vote?
So the name of their campaign was "Get Your Booty to the Polls."
Oh, nice! Yep.
Yeah, that one was quite.
Oh, polls!
Yeah. So they've actually put some thought into it and being clever with it. And there was a group of dominatrixes who were trying to get people to vote. What were they doing to get people? Like, what were they trying to get people to vote? How were they trying to get people to vote?
I assume there was just a line of them just chasing people down with whips, just pounding them all the way.
Yeah, I like to think it's the opposite, that they were like, no whipping until you voted.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, they've got like a stiletto heel on someone's ballsack and they're like, I am not stepping down any further until you vote, please.
Yeah.
No more punishment for you, mister.
Yeah, well,
until
to
you've
be honest,
until you've done your vote.
Too far off, because they're the kind of doms that were like, they're financial doms and they're submissive doms. So they were like, you need to vote for Biden. Specifically, you need to vote for Biden, or else, you won't get what you want.
And it'll be loads of old white Republicans using them. That's even better.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
You found out
Imagine if that was what Trump's campaign required in order to prove that it had been like a conspiracy. Like it was like, I've got proof, and it's because all of my cohorts voted for them because of their relationships with their dominatrixes.
It would actually be the most amazing press conference that Trump has ever given. I'd love to hear him try and explain that to an audience.
Now, all of my supporters use escorts. I'm going to open with that. Now that you can absorb that information, here's why I should be president.
Best escort.
Yeah.
And one last one. This is the last question. This is in the same field, like trying to engage voters, trying to get people to vote. This is the last campaign I saw about it. There was a campaign put together by Samuel L. Jackson to try and encourage people to vote. So if you signed up to his website to register, what was he going to do for you?
He would say the M and F word.
I was going to say, if it wasn't called like vote motherfucker or something like that, it's just wasted.
Want to take a stab, John?
All right. I reckon it's him. The image is him leaning over the back of the car in Pulp Fiction with his gun pointed at your face. being like, "Hope we don't hit a road bump. Vote."
I think if you don't vote, he will put a snake in your house.
Snakes on the poles.
Or you say in your plane, and then you'd make it very specifically to the 1% there.
Yeah.
Snakes in your private jet.
Now, he said the first 2,500 people who's registered through his website that he would teach them to swear in 15 languages.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing. And
What do you reckon the languages are?
well, do you want to take a stab? I've got the list. Do you want to take?
Oh wow, okay.
Icelandic
At least won't be English.
definitely.
Icelandic
Yeah.
one, yes. Icelandic.
Is it really?
Yeah, Icelandic's one.
French,
Um,
Japanese.
no French.
What?
No Japanese.
He doesn't know Merg.
Well, he might, but these are the ones. I think he's going with more obscure ones to sort of entice people.
Oh, Swahili.
Yes,
I was
Swahili's
going to say
one.
Swahili.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
That's the go-to. Like that. It's the most common obscure language, I
Yeah.
reckon.
Yeah, 100%.
Russian. or
Klingon?
something.
Russian? No, not Klingon. No, not Russian either. No made up languages. No, like non-living languages. Although technically, you could probably say Klingon's a living language. They've got Shakespeare translations in Klingon. Just putting that out there.
How about Lebanese?
Lebanese is not on the list. No,
Hebrew,
no.
Greek, ancient.
Ancient Greek. No. I'll give you the
Finnish?
full list. I'll give you the full list. Basque, Ukrainian.
What? Wait. Sorry, what's Basque?
Basque.
Is that like?
I should have looked it up. I don't know.
Yeah, don't repeat it.
It's
It's
in
just
like
Basque.
France, Spain, isn't it?
Sorry, Chris.
Like Spain, like up in Bilbao.
Oh, there you go.
Ah,
This is
Oh,
what
yeah,
Is
I've
that
heard
like
of, like
Wales?
Basque Country. Also, yeah, you're
not
right.
the country
It is,
Wales. I mean that.
like actual.
It
It is an
Wales.
autonomous community in northern Spain
Are
with
they?
strong cultural traditions.
Huh.
And all the people who
That's
live there are
cool.
called hens.
And Nepali. It's a form of Jamaican called Jamaican Patois. Icelandic
no.
Patois.
Patois. Yeah. Okay.
Yes, my heritage come in handy once.
Yes.
Maori,
Chris, you got to do a translation for us.
Haitian Creole, Bemba. I don't know where Bemba's from. Czech, Esperanto. So actually, yeah, one language that's
Ah,
a native language. Sorry. Catalan, Brazilian Portuguese, Thai, and Vietnamese.
Oh, nice.
I like to think that he's fluent in all those languages as
I
well.
would love to think
Absolutely.
he is, but I think
I
he's
really
put
hope so.
some time into researching. So I saw some of the footage, and I saw him in Vietnamese. He said, "Dit me mai, dit me mai," and I asked my partner to translate that for me. And I think it's a pretty easy.
I take it your partner can speak Vietnamese.
Yeah, she is Viet.
She was just like having
She's the only
a
person
go.
around.
Take a stab. What do you think it means? Like with you guys, I'm just asking you to take a stab. And so, according to my partner's wild stab, what do you think? No, so she translated it, and I think it's a pretty obvious guess what it translates to. So who wants to
Could
be
you
the
say it one more time?
Dit me may.
Is it suck my dick?
Oh, that's a decent guess, but it's not. It's not suck my dick. No. Samuel L. Jackson.
I mean, is it?
It's got to get the fuck up, but
Is it?
It is. It's what he's avoiding saying to save what's
Is
left
it melon
of
farmer?
reputation for the children. It's motherfucker.
Until I block my mouth so that they can't see me.
So my assumption is that he has gotten people to teach him how to say motherfucker in all of these languages, and that's what he's teaching people to do. which I think is pretty clever. But yeah, I think that. I mean, it's enough to get people engaged, which is what he needs.
That is true.
2,500 people. That's enough to swing a state if it's needed. And it was, as it was shown, because it was a very tight race.
Now you know who won Biden the election by who can say M and F word with in 15 different languages.
Yeah, if you say Dick Meme to someone and they look offended, you know they were a swing voter.
Yeah.
That's right. Any American, they're like, hang on.
Or they speak Vietnamese.
All right, I think with our connections interrupted and everything, I think we've run for roughly the length of time that we should. So if anyone wants to do some plugs before we take off, I'd like to thank you all for your time. Really appreciate you guys hanging out with me for the last little bit. I'm going to go around the room.
Yeah, I've got a CITV arts and crafts show coming out for children.
Well, this is the perfect environment to plug that. What's it called?
It's called Makeaway Takeaway. It probably won't come out till later next year, but it is. We start filming again. We managed to get some filming in just before lockdown.
Oh, nice.
And then we start filming again, and hopefully early next year, all being well. So that's
so exciting, Beck.
And then there'll be some. Yeah. I've got more exciting stuff coming out soon, but it doesn't get announced till January.
Okay.
But all aimed at ages 8 to 12. So all your sickos watching, get your kids on board.
Well, kids.
I have a thing for 8 to 12-year-olds. It's a new game I've developed. It's you send away for it, and it comes in the post, and it's like a puzzle escape room with a narrative and a story, and it's designed for kids. Teaches them a bit about ancient Egypt, but it's mainly cool, fun puzzles. It's called minimysteries.club, well, the website, minimysteries.club. And we go live on Monday, whatever the next Monday is, which is the 16th of November. But we do post all over the world. So even if you are listening from Australia, the postage is a bit more expensive, but
John,
it's going to be amazing. Yeah.
If I decided to do that with my niece, but she's in a different place, is it something that we would be able to share?
Oh, I don't know. That's a great question. Let me think about that.
We'll take this off air.
Yeah. I think if she could see the screen and you could show her stuff, because you wouldn't want to get 2 copies, because they're all like individually made and they're very beautiful. It looks so good, guys. It looks awesome. So each game is like its own thing.
Wow.
But I reckon if you can maybe do some stuff with cameras and she could see.
Cool.
That's very exciting. Thank you.
So I am 50% of a comedy podcast called Cooking with Grief. So just find us on Twitter at Cooking with Grief, or find us on iTunes. Less exciting than a TV show for kids or a thing you can send around the world, but
Yeah, that's also. You want to give them the.
Oh yeah, I do have an adult thing. I do a podcast called A Problem Squared.
Oh yeah, there we go.
Probably pick.
You want to give the quick
the adult stuff.
Yeah, the quick summary of what your podcasts are.
So it's a comedy podcast with weird facts. So we're basically like obscure facts and sort of QI-ish, but there's just 2 of us, and we don't have Stephen Fry and or Sandy Toff's. It's just 2 guys called Chris, confusingly.
I think ours would complement each other quite well. I do one with fellow Australian Matt Parker, who's also a mathematician. It's called A Problem Squared, and it's where people send us their problems and we try and solve them. And he solves them usually very logically with maths, and I am an idiot about it. My favourite one is we worked out how many Ferrero Rocher are probably in the pyramid from the ad with the ambassador. So
Actually,
we just
I know what the answer to that is. So
yeah,
it's a great forward sell. And I guess for myself, I've got one more of these that's in the Melbourne Fringe, and I've got my storytelling show, I Got Bit by a Monkey Once, playing. They're both on Pay What You Feel, because I know it's been a rough year for everybody. So just chuck some money up if you can, and if you can't, enjoy the show, and I'll hopefully be in Edinburgh touring it next year, if we're ever allowed to travel again. But yeah, thanks a lot, guys. And
sorry, can I plug one more thing that
Yeah.
I forgot about? I made a podcast a couple of years ago called The Vomitorium, and it's comedians telling their best vomit stories. And season 2 is actually going to launch very soon. So if you want to catch up on that before it goes live.
John, I have so many vomit stories.
Oh, great. Let's record, baby.
Well,
I'd love that.
Beck and I used to work together in a arcade, and I just quit a 9-year stretch at a theme park.
Were you at Luna Park?
Yeah.
You're not allowed to say because of...
Oh, I've quit now, so I don't care.
You have loads of vomit stories. One of these red rooms can cover an entire day's worth of vomit at Disneyland.
But I've listened
find
to a couple of
on...
vomitorium stories. They're quite good. I enjoyed it.
Well, thanks. Yeah, the first series was just kind of chatting to my friends, but I'm going to try and get comedians on in future. But I've been very lazy.
I'm sorry, John.
For like 2 years.
I didn't realise we're not your friends.
Every single podcast I do, Beck, you clarify that this is a contractual obligation and we are not friends.
And I'll tell you what, this contract has been terminated.
That is a perfect
go.
end to this podcast. Thank you so much, guys.
Thanks, guys.
You.